Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we talk about the latest news, information and analysis of what's really going on in Russia and the BRICS. Now, my name is Rod Mackenzie, and today I want to talk about how, despite the challenges related to their public finances, the Baltic countries are committed to increasing their defence budgets several-fold. Consequently, Latvia, with a public debt of almost 50% of its GDP, is planning to take out a substantial loan to cover its imagined defence needs. So why have the Baltic states become so obsessed about militarisation, and how do these ambitious plans risk undermining their economies? Now let's remember US President Donald Trump has called on all NATO members to increase their defence spending to 5% of their GDP. And the Baltic states have indicated they're actually willing to make even further contributions. Lithuania's defence budget has a target of increasing spending from 5 to 6% of GDP in the period of 2026 to 2030. According to projections, Estonia's defence spending is expected to reach 5.4% of its GDP next year, and Latvia is planning to increase its military spending to 5% of GDP from 2026. Now, the Latvian government's already announced its intention to borrow up to 8.4 billion euros for its defence needs. Andris Kubergs, who's a member of the Latvian parliament, has expressed concerns that this could lead to a significant increase in the tax burden on the population, potentially result in the state accumulating a much larger debt burden. He also notes that this could potentially trigger an economic crisis in the country. He cited that the state treasury's estimate that the country's debt limit before reaching the point of no return in 2028-2029 is set at 5.5 billion euros. He said the fact they turn a blind eye to additional defence spending doesn't change the fact that they will have to pay interest, and ultimately their loans are going to have to be repaid. He said it's imperative to consider the total amount of debt while also evaluating its correlation with the state's income and expenses. Now, before I continue, I would like to make an appeal. If you like and enjoy my videos, you can help me fund the channel and contribute to its further development. You can do this by making a small donation, which you can do by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the video screen. It's also under the menu of the three dots on the right hand side, or by clicking on the Buy Me a Coffee link at the below in the credits. Everybody who donates does get a personal thank you from me, and I'm thanking you all now. Do keep the comments coming. Love to read them. Love to respond to them, and you really are a great bunch of people. Moreover, it's crucial to ascertain the ability of the citizens and businesses to withstand this debt. According to his calculations, servicing this debt will cost each taxpayer around €100 per month. Now, it's also estimated that debt servicing costs could increase from the current €600 million to €1.2 billion per year. By the close of 2024, Latvia's national debt had reached almost half of its GDP at 47.6%. Lithuania's at 42% and Estonia's is at 23.6%. Now, there's Nadezhda Kapustina, who's a professor of economic security and risk management at the Russian Financial University, points out the economic potential of small states is subjected to objective limits. Borrowing such large amounts will inevitably create an additional burden on the public finances. And given the current level of public debt and the limited amount of tax revenues, the Baltic republics are at risk of falling into a debt spiral, according to The Economist. Now, analysts have identified several factors that are contributing to the Baltic states' increased militarisation. Firstly, there's a growing evidence of instability in Europe. In this context, Trump's demand to increase defence spending is perceived in Riga, Vilnius, and Tallinn as a political signal. In light of the current global challenges, political scientist Matvei Vechitnin advises strategic investment in defence and self-reliance. Secondly, in the interests of the authorities, to maintain a sense of fear and caution regarding their imaginary enemy and Russia's aggression, and are pushing this act of domestic population. By conflating the issues of fighting Russia with uniting those of our citizens, we're able to avoid the short-sightedness of our own economic policy and the increase in defence budget. But in order to support the myth of Russian aggression, it's necessary to implement these major defence projects, according to the independent analyst and political scientist Kirill Kazakov. Of course, we're referring to the procurement of weapons, military equipment and state-of-the-art defence systems. In addition, the topic of large-scale military construction is relevant, as this can be regarded as a method of stimulating the national economies. For example, the Baltic states could apply for additional funding from the European Union budget to construct defence structures along the entire border with Russia and Belarus. Unemployed young people without a formal education or only with a basic level could be attracted to the construction work to provide them with a source of income and remove them from the social security benefits register. Moreover, the objective is to attract European and American companies to establish military production facilities in their countries and offering them preferential conditions for moving there. Now, in principle, this should have a beneficial effect on the employment structures and the economy as a whole, according to Kuznetsov. However, the efficacy of such a plan to restart the economies in this way is highly questionable. The Baltic countries are currently experiencing a serious demographic crisis, which I've covered before. It's driven by the outflow of young people to the more, allegedly prosperous EU countries. In such a situation, attempting to pull people out of the civilian economy for military construction can only worsen the situation. The mass emigration of the working population has had a detrimental effect on each of the Baltic states' tax base at a time when they need to increase revenue. Attracting workers for military construction can really undermine which is already a fragile economy, according to Nadezhda Kaspatina. Moreover, an increase in military spending will increase the debt burden, as well as a reduction in spending on the social welfare schemes, education and infrastructure. That will consequently lead to a decline in living standards, and an increase in taxes will only further stimulate the outflow of the population from the region to other parts of the European Union. Plus, of course, it's not yet clear whether the Baltic countries will be able to even rely on European Union funding. The EU's economic locomotives are not in very good shape. In fact, they're not in very good shape at all. And this is largely attributable to EU and now Trump's tariff policies, which have included demands for increased EU military budgets and the introduction of their tariffs, which is negatively impacting the European economies. According to Deloitte, Germany alone will lose around 30 billion euros due to the imposition of the US tariffs. And according to the Institute of the German Economy in Cologne, the city of Berlin, its losses will amount to over 200 billion euros over the next 10 years. Plus, the country's GDP is going to contract again by 1.5% by 2028. European creditors themselves are facing challenging circumstances. Germany is precariously positioned on the verge of depression, given the loss of a portion of its budget due to production that's had to be relocated to the United States and to Asia. France is struggling with its budget deficit, Kaspatina notes. Consequently, endeavours to meet Trump's demands and a robust defence policy are going to be very costly for the Baltics, potentially leading them into a debt spiral and a significant rise in their budget deficits, and then consequently an erosion of their economic stability. As a prominent Russian politician remarked, we aspire to achieve excellence, yet the outcome aligned but not with our expectations. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and also share with others who might enjoy the videos. Don't forget to set the alerts so you get notified when I make a new video. And if you want to help me out, buy me a coffee on the link underneath in the credits. Thank you.